Welcome to Y&T Blast. Today, we are diving into Snow White 2025, a bold reimagining that didn't exactly stick the landing. From bizarre CGI choices to unexpected plot twists, here are 10 things that went wrong in this controversial remake. Buckle up, this fairy tale just got messy. The Disney live action Snow White remake, released in 2025, has faced considerable criticism for its changes to the original story, including the casting choices, the portrayal of the characters, and the overall depiction of the film. Here are some of the main points of contention. Rachel Zegler as Snow White. Rachel Zegler faced criticism for her casting as Snow White in Disney's live action remake due to several factors. Some critics disapproved of the casting choice, arguing that Zegler, of Colombian and Polish descent, did not resemble the traditionally fair skinned European depiction of Snow White from the original 1937 film. Others took issue with her public comments about the film, where she criticized aspects of the original story, such as Snow White's romance and passive role.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird, weird.
These remarks, along with broader frustrations about Hollywood remakes, fueled backlash from traditionalists and audiences skeptical of Disney's modern adaptations of classic films. Gal Gadot as the Evil Queen. Gal Gadot's portrayal of the Evil Queen has been met with widespread criticism. Critics have described her performance as lacking depth and failing to capture the malevolent essence of the character. Her vocal performance, particularly in the song All Is Fair, was also poorly received, with some labeling it as a remarkable anti performance. Additionally, some reviews noted that Gadot appeared out of place, contributing to a portrayal that many felt was unconvincing and lacked the necessary gravitas for such an iconic villain. The Seven Dwarfs. The movie opted for CGI created seven dwarfs instead of casting real actors, sparking controversy. The decision was reportedly influenced by concerns over reinforcing outdated stereotypes, as actor Peter Dinklage had criticized the original depiction of dwarfs in the 1937 film. Disney aimed for a more inclusive and modern approach using motion capture CGI characters rather than traditional casting. However, the choice was met with backlash from both audiences and members of the dwarfism community, some of whom argued that the film took away acting opportunities from performers with dwarfism, fueling further debate over representation in Hollywood. Love interest. Zegler stated that the new adaptation would move away from the traditional romance storyline, emphasizing Snow White's independence and leadership rather than a prince saving her.
With a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird, weird.
This shift sparked backlash from fans who felt it undermined the classic fairy tale's charm and romance. Critics argued that Disney was unnecessarily altering beloved elements of the original film to fit modern narratives, while supporters praised the decision for promoting a more progressive and self reliant version of Snow White. The Rebellion. In an effort to modernize the story, the remake replaces Snow White's classic journey with a narrative centered on her reclaiming the throne and leading a revolution. Critics argue that this change undermines the film's core themes of kindness and resilience, instead, forcing a generic strong female lead trope. Detractors believe the rebellion plot feels unnecessary and lacks emotional depth, turning a timeless fantasy into a predictable action driven story that fails to capture the magic of the original classic. Songs. The movie remake faced criticism over its musical choices, particularly the exclusion of the iconic songs from the original 1937 film. Notably, One Day My Prince Will Come was omitted to align with the updated narrative, focusing on Snow White's independence rather than a traditional romance.
Someday my prince will come.
The decision disappointed fans who cherished the classic soundtrack. Additionally, new compositions by Benj Pasek and Justin Paul received mixed reviews. Some critics described them as unremarkable and failing to capture the magic of the original score. These changes contributed to the broader debate about balancing modernization with preserving beloved elements of classic tales. Lack of cohesion. Originally a simple fairy tale about innocence, jealousy, and love, the new version attempts to modernize Snow White's character but risks losing the essence of the original narrative. By removing the traditional romance and altering the portrayal of the seven dwarfs, the story becomes fragmented, struggling to balance nostalgia with contemporary themes. Critics argue that these changes create inconsistencies in tone and purpose, making the film feel disjointed. Without a clear direction, Snow White risked alienating both classic fans and new audiences. Poor reviews. The Guardian labeled it as toe-curlingly terrible, criticizing its lack of artistic vision and calling it as a film made by people with cartoon dollar signs eyes and not even the tiniest glimmer of art in their souls. Rolling Stone's David Fear remarked that the movie does earn points as a bedtime story, however, because it will definitely put you to sleep. Overall, critics pointed to uninspired performances, lackluster visual effects, and a failure to capture the charm of the original animated classic. Woke accusations. Critics argue that Disney altered core elements to fit contemporary social narratives, such as removing the traditional love story and replacing the seven dwarfs with CGI characters for inclusivity. Rachel Zegler comments about the original film being outdated and her emphasis on Snow White's independence fueled backlash from fans who felt the remake dismissed beloved aspects of the 1937 classic. Detractors saw these changes as unnecessary political correctness, while supporters praised the film for updating the story to reflect modern values. Not woke enough accusations. Despite Disney's attempts to modernize the story by removing the traditional romance and altering the portrayal of the seven dwarfs for inclusivity, some critics felt the film did not go far enough in updating outdated elements. They argued that simply tweaking Snow White's role wasn't enough to truly reinvent the story, and that Disney was still playing it safe by relying on a legacy IP rather than creating original, diverse narrative. This backlash highlighted the challenge of balancing nostalgia with progressive storytelling. Disney's 2025 live-action Snow White remake underperformed both critically and commercially, leading to its classification as a flop. The film opened with a lackluster $43 million domestically and $88 million globally, falling short of expectations despite a production budget exceeding $270 million. Critics lambasted the movie for its uninspired performances and lack of artistic vision. Controversies surrounding casting choices and deviations from the original storyline further alienated audiences. These factors collectively contributed to the film's disappointing reception and box office performance.
Waiting on a wish, holding out for someday, hoping somehow, some way, here comes a miracle.
Find Snow White.
Me, I close my eyes and see the girl I meant to
This is our kingdom, and now we're here to take it back.
You were saying.
I'm sorry, my dear. Did I frighten you?